All right. This midweek match this past week was the opening leg of the quarterfinals. We traveled to Lisbon in Portugal to face Sporting CP. You mentioned don't call them Sporting Lisbon, and I've definitely heard people since you said that calling them Sporting Lisbon.
Yes, they are insistent on this. Fair enough. Sporting, the team's name is Sporting Club Portugal, not Sporting Lisbon. That is not their name. So fair enough.
But yeah, this was the match that we won this week.
Yes, and obviously, since you're very interested in it, we had a German officiating crew for this one, which again, not unusual. To have, obviously you don't want your referees aren't going to be from a country that either of the two teams comes from. But yeah, we walked out of this first leg of the Champions League quarterfinals, and we walked out of the Estadio Jose Alvalade with a 1-0 win. 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah, in spectacular fashion. We did not feel for most of the match that it was going to work out that way. At least toward the end, it seemed like we were going to be lucky to walk away with a draw and then win it at home and pretend the whole thing never happened.
I wouldn't say pretend the whole thing never happened, but I guess
essentially from the two-leg aggregate score perspective, yeah.
So because it's midweek, obviously watching live is very difficult for me, because I work. But I was unable to watch this game. I saw bits and pieces of the first half, but I had to watch the game on replay. So I went in knowing the results and sort of hearing a lot of the conversation about it and our play style and all that. I'll be honest, and having seen Arsenal play some uninspiring performances lately, I don't know that I would say this one was one of them. This is let's start with the obvious. Sporting is not a bad side. I think they were unbeaten in their last 17 at home. They'd beaten PSG earlier in the Champions League. This is not an easy place to go and get a result.
No.
And I mean, at some point, as I was, just tracking the score on my phone throughout the afternoon, I would have been satisfied with 0-0 going back to the Emirates. I feel like we're strong enough. We'll be, my expectation will be we'll be able to beat them at home. So to come away with a point like that. Overall, though, I thought minus one or two instances in particular, as we'll mention, about 5-6 minutes in. Overall, though, I thought we did a pretty good job of limiting their opportunities. We didn't create a lot for ourselves. But overall, I thought we did a good job of sort of keeping things quiet, kind of taking, and that's one, that's a difficult place to go with a good, fan base that was really up for the game that night. And I thought we did a good job kind of taking the air out of it, out of the game, taking the air out of the supporters. So in a sense, I feel, again, minus a couple of shaky moments. Overall, though, I thought we played just fine. In some ways, a little bit like the Bayer Leverkusen game. Like, we didn't really. It's kind of same thing. We scored that goal. We scored the goal in that game. We got the penalty. What was that in stoppage time as well? So overall, I thought this was actually a solid, if unspectacular, performance. With a pretty strong lineup against what I thought was decent opposition. Obviously, it's not PSG, it's not Bayern, but we our seeding got us the easiest possible probably the easiest possible opponent, and we took care of business. I don't feel particularly bad about this result at all.
No, I mean, it seems like for whatever reason this season, we seem to always turn it on under the European lights, like these UEFA matches. I don't know. We have done very well this season, no matter how poorly we may be doing elsewhere. There's something about it. Now, clearly this week, it did feel like we were playing this like it's a first leg. Like, we weren't necessarily playing to win, or at least not to win emphatically. We were maybe playing to a draw, and we got lucky toward the end a little bit, but stronger than we've seen elsewhere the last couple weeks, including this weekend,
Well, right. Obviously, the comparison point is to the weekend, and of course, not just the game we just played against Southampton. We'll talk about the Bournemouth game as well. But I got to be honest, I didn't feel that way watching this one in the same way. Now, again, the circumstances are a little different. Obviously, as a knockout tie, the result is all that matters. Or it matters in the sense that you're not thinking about it in combination with too much else. We're not worried about games other places. All that matters is what we do in this place at this
Right.
moment. And there, I thought overall, I mean, I think the big difference in this one between so many of the performances we've seen recently was Martin Odegaard. To have him available, I thought he was very good in this one. Sort of, obviously moving the ball around, driving play forward. Very excited to see him. And obviously, the other big one was David Raya being back in the team. And I know I've been a little nicer to Kepa than other people have, but I mean, I said this again, Raya is a better keeper, and he showed it to us, including very early on.
Yeah, that was really spectacular. So the ball was hit toward the crossbar, essentially. He manages to leap and extend his hand up and out to the side and just get enough on it to the point where when you see it live, you aren't even necessarily sure that he makes contact. It's only when you see it slowed down that you see the trajectory just kind of slightly bend and the ball clangs off of the bottom of the crossbar going back into play. And then Saliba had a great header just to get it back out of the box after that point. But great reflexive save from Raya. That was really something.
Yeah, I mean, boy, he has to do that. He does have that in his bag, right? He's not renowned as a shot stopper, and that's fair. It's not, as we talked about, this is not really what we ask him to do. We ask him to do a lot of other things. But he's had a few moments this season, quite a few moments this season, where he's been called on to do something like that, to make a save out of nothing. I mean, credit to we talk about the shot. Honestly, the better one was the ball into the attacking player. It was a heck of a ball, a heck of a pass to spring in and give him that opportunity. And certainly, I think, like from a sporting perspective, you're really ruining that opportunity. Like, man, that was a great opportunity we had. I mean, to set all that up, you're not going to get that many more chances like that against Arsenal. They can't be thinking that, and they kind of didn't. So, good job overall by Raya. Honestly, he was my man of this match. I thought he was very good overall. The save he had one or two other saves. I said they didn't get any chances. They got a couple. But he had one or two other saves, really sort of, and then just that thing he does. And we talked about this way back when we first joined the team. And Arteta talks about, like, he doesn't. It's not what he does; it's what he stops from happening. The degree to which he can kind of put his foot on the ball, control the ball. Get up in the box and get it, pluck out crosses and sort of break up opportunities. And I think we saw a lot of that in this one too. And, and again, I don't think we lost the City game or the Southampton game because of Kepa, but there are things that Raya can do, especially passing wise, that Kepa has proven unable to do to the standards that Arsenal requires.
I don't know that I agree with your wording on that with Kepa. Like, I think we very clearly did lose the City match because of him. I think it's very clear that the particular mistakes that he made would not have been made by Raya. And I think it's very likely that we might have won that cup if Raya had been in there. But that's different.
Let me just...
Yeah,
I'm not going to let the other 10 players on the field off the hook for that performance in the City game. We're not going to talk about the City game too much. That's my problem with Kepa. I'm not going to escape listen, obvious mistakes. Definitely wasn't. We obviously could have been better tactically. We talked about his passing, all that.
It was not all him. Absolutely.
Yeah, no. That performance was poor all around. Let's not scapegoat him on this.
No, but the rest of what I was going to say though is, like, I don't fault Arteta for playing him. I'm not saying that he should have played Raya because that would have gotten us the result. I agree with his reasoning and that he would do it again. That's fine. But anyway, but yeah, no, it's definitely good seeing him in action.
Yeah.
So from there, the next big event of this match was what we thought for a little while was the go-ahead goal scored by Zubamendi from incredible range. It was a really nice, like, long shot. But he didn't seem to really celebrate it super hard.
I mean, I think everyone kind of knew. And listen to the Arscast thing. They said, like, it didn't seem like the Sporting keeper really made a play for the ball, like almost like he kind of like everybody kind of knew Gyökeres was offside. Let's rip the band-aid off on that one. So pass comes in to Gyökeres, he's onside when he receives the ball, but when the pass is made, he's ahead of the defenders. Comes back in, gets the ball, lays it off for Zubimendi, who hits it from long range. Gyökeres is offside. That's a goal called back. Gyökeres has to do a little better job getting back there.
He does. It's funny, when we were talking before we recorded, I was defending him a little bit on this, but watching the replay of it again, he's just kind of ambling, moseying his way back toward being onside before the pass is made. And he needs to be more aware of his position at all times to always be ready for the pass and always be onside.
At the very least, with the ball still in the general vicinity, it's one thing. Exactly. It's one thing if the ball had been cleared back out, to back to to Saliba or something, and start, doing that thing where we pass around the back line a bunch of times.
Right.
But there, the ball's still very much in position. He's got to get back.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's frustrating, because that could have been, because that's a real opportunity lost there too. Because if we score earlier, now Sporting gets desperate. They maybe start to open up a little bit. It might create some opportunities for us going forward. And maybe I don't want to extrapolate this too far and say Gyökeres cost us, a massive lead. But if we can walk out of Lisbon at 2-0 up, I mean that's obviously a huge advantage. At that point, I don't want to say it's over.
Yeah,
coming back home up 2-0, you feel more than good about your chances.
Yeah, exactly. But ultimately, it got to stoppage time, and our subs did their thing.
Good performances. I think really in terms of our performances in the Champions League, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, right? Some of it is the way other teams play against us is very different than the kind of play we see when we're in England. Some of it is also the talent level, and I think that was a little bit telling here. And we've got players. Martinelli loves the Champions League games. Havertz loves the Champions League games. Martinelli especially is really useful running after tired defenders late on in games. And you saw this one, he gets the ball, and how many times have we seen Martinelli take the ball and then drive down the sideline and then cut in from when he's up against the goal line, and he can create opportunities doing that. But that's kind of the go-to move, right? Or
more often, kind of get stuck at the goal line and have to either play it out off of someone's leg or just turn the ball over. Sometimes it doesn't work successfully a lot. Yeah.
When it leads to a corner, we're not really bothered by it, obviously.
No, if he can manage that, that's not the worst. But this time, he decided to drive in. Yeah, it was nice. He juked back and forth, psyched out the player, and then found Kai Havertz, and there we go.
and with Havertz, it's just, that's an excellent touch, right? It's an incredible job to take it down with one foot and essentially set himself up on the half volley for the other foot. It's so quick, and it happens it happens so fast, and it's so quick, so instinctively done. It's just a really nice shot. Havertz loves playing in the Champions League. He scores big goals in big games. He's a guy we've kind of missed a little bit at times, especially in the first half of the season. Hopefully he gets a little closer to form. We have some big ones coming up, and great little finish, and we're able to walk out of there a game that, by all rights, probably should have ended 0-0. We get to walk out of there 1-0, and we get to come home with a lead.
Well, and again, we were talking about keeping on side and how that needs to be part of what you're always aware of. You see with him, when you watch the play unfolding, he's indicating with his arm, for Martinelli to pass it ahead of him, and he keeps on side until the pass is made. And he's well offside by the time he receives the pass, which is legal, obviously.
Well, but he's not offside. He made. That's the well-timed run. Exactly. You want to be in that position where when you receive the ball, you're behind the defender. You have to be back there when the pass gets made. course.
Yeah. So no, it was a good job all around, and just another one of those instances of our subs saving the day. So I mean, are you in the habit of referring to them or thinking them as finishers or closers, like I'm hearing some do?
It's linguistically it's a tough shift because obviously they're substituting in, but I mean
Right.
there is a mental bit to that, right? That they're brought in to close out the game. Obviously, I think of the problem is I watch too much baseball, so closer's a guy who comes in to finish off a game you're already ahead,
Right.
as opposed to winning a game that's level. But it's still right. The idea that it's the idea they're trying to inculcate, and it isn't working quite as well as we'd like. We've had to use it a little bit more than I think anyone would want to. But right, that idea that every player in the club is going to contribute at some point or another, and just because you're not starting doesn't mean you aren't. I mean, subs have always been important, but just because you're not starting doesn't mean that you don't have potentially have a role to play.